Good evening. Dr. Dina Churchill, innovator in health, and welcome to the full moon meditation in Leo. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all your feedback in the previous meditations. I really appreciate it. It's helped guide our meditations so far. And I know I throw a lot out there. I've heard that feedback. So I try to explain things in different ways. So for example, I might say that technology makes me nervous, but then I may qualify it and say because I have Uranus in my third house for my astrology friends. Or I might say that inhale stimulates the sympathetic system and that exhaling stimulates the parasympathetic for the biology people. Or I might put it in a paradigm where saying inhale stimulates that fight or flight response and that exhaling, the parasympathetic rest and digest. So I'll say it in different ways, just pick up whichever way you like. Or again, the third eye in yoga is the sixth chakra, energy center here. Biology people will know it's also connected to the pineal gland and the pituitary gland and the medulla oblongata, parts of your brain. So it connects your spiritual body to your physical body. And or yoga people again would say it's your sixth eye. Acupuncture, again, there's an acupuncture point right here that corresponds to that point. And again, the acupuncture point is called yin tang. So if it sounds like I'm speaking Chinese, I may be. Just pick up what you need, and if you have any questions, you can ask me, please. So I think we'll just put it in perspective, kind of what we're doing. So the moment that you're born, there's the planets are in such a position in the sky that it doesn't happen again for about 26,000 years. So that snapshot that happens, those planets and the energies affect who you are. That would be your natal chart. But the planets continue to move, and the planets moving affects what happens here on Earth. So the celestial events affect our terrestrial realities. And you'll say, well, how does that really apply? Well, just look at the moon, for example, right? The moon is so powerful, it creates waves and tides. The farmers will plant via the moon. So you'll plant generally after a new moon, and the plants will grow better after a new moon. Moons also coordinate our menstrual cycles for women and our emotions. So you can be up and down. And the word lunatic comes from the moon. So we can see how the moon will impact us on that level. So what we've been doing is looking at the moon because it's the fastest moving planet. It's also our feminine illuminary and giving us guidance and wisdom and a structure for these meditations. So the moon moves across the sky and visits these little constellations, groups of stars. And they have zodiac signs or zodiac names. So right now, the moon has moved into a group of stars called Leo. So it would be like the moon visiting a lot of different Facebook groups. And each group has sort of characteristics and traits attached. So we're looking at how those traits and that celestial environment really affects us on our daily lives and how we can sort of navigate that for a more fulfilled path. Now, we're looking at the moon. The full moon right now is in Leo, and it's full, right? For the last 15 days, it's been growing bigger and bigger and bigger until boom, there it is. The big moon is being birthed. So it's a time for harvesting and celebrating where we have maximum light on the subject. And you're going to witness, a pull maybe in your emotions. And I'll show you that in just a second. But in about 6 hours from now, 2:33 Eastern Standard Time, the moon will be at its peak. And that full moon, again, will have certain traits attached to it in being in Leo. Maybe what I'll do is show you a chart of the moon. So in Leo, you will be feeling cherry because the sun rules Leo. You'll have creative ideas. You may be interested in kids and romance, not necessarily in that order. But so if you're with your honey right now, romance, it could be a lucky night for you. But if you haven't met Mr. or Mrs. Right, then wait until after the new moon if you're looking for a longer lasting relationship. And the new moon, I think, is February 23rd. So that'll be my tip for the night. But let's just look at, and then so those are the positive sides of the Leo line. It also shines light on the shadow. So the line can be proud and can get a little hurt or offended. So you have to kind of take that in stride, work through that, and realize they're your own fears and limitations, letting go of what doesn't serve you. So let's look at a chart. So the stars in the sky, it'd be like a map from here to Truro. It would look different from the ground than it does on a map. It'll have little symbols and it'll have degrees and distances. So this is what a chart looks like. I don't know if you can see that there. Let's put it right here. Okay, so this glyph or this symbol is the moon, and you can see that the sun is way over on the other side of the sky. The moon is in Leo and the sun is in Aquarius. So the moon represents our unconscious desires, emotions, and instincts, and in Leo it's our personal creative desires, where our sun is our conscious self, our basic essence, our vitality, and in the sign of Aquarius is related to our humanitarian service. So that's the celestial event that's happening. Now, how does that apply? Well, in a lot of it's sort of an age-old philosophical concept, really, because we're looking at the one and the many, or we're looking at our human well and our divine well, or segregation and integration, or the parts and the whole. I think it was Aristotle that said the whole is greater than all the parts. So this is a concept, right? We're bringing that into our greater service. Now, there's some examples of that. And for astrology people are probably already noting this, but the moon is in a trine with Mars. So if you can integrate your own personal will with kind of a divine intention, you're supported in your actions, which are Mars, and it's in Sagittarius, which is a greater vision. So let me give you a practical application to that. I really didn't want to be doing these internet meditations. In fact, when Sandra Saunders suggested it to me, I was a little offended because, for my astrology friends that know me, my Mars and my Venus are in Scorpio in my 4th house. So I was very private and very secretive and very shy and protective of my heart. So I can get out there and talk about vaccines and 5G technology dangers, but when you're talking about spiritual matters, you're a little more vulnerable. So I was really afraid and create a lot of anxiety doing it on media because my Uranus again is in my 3rd house. But I asked myself, what is a greater service, and how can I bring my desires, my Leo intentions and creativity out to a wider audience? And you're it. So that's sort of one practical example. The other in my own personal life would be my chiropractic practice. I had to let go of that regulated license and the comforts and my instincts and my subconscious desires in order to bring a greater service, what I consider a greater service to humanity. So this is the ask. This is what's happening now with the celestial event, and these are our terrestrial lessons. So to sum it up, I would say in this Leo full moon, you have to align your individual will to a divine intention, and when you do, your actions are going to be supported. Now, we talked last day about the Cancer moon being associated with your 3rd eye or your 6th chakra. Well, the Leo is the sun, so your 2 luminaries, the sun and the moon, are attached, right, the feminine and masculine, to this chakra, this divine opening, where your spiritual body it's a bridge for your spiritual body to connect to your physical body. Again, it also biologically, as I mentioned earlier, is connected to your pineal gland, to your pituitary gland, and medulla oblongata, which is part of your brain, your emotional brain. So it releases hormones to control your body, and through your pineal gland, again, open up to your celestial heritage. So this is a powerful place where we are right now. It has a musical note attached, which is A, as I mentioned last day. It's the color of the of indigo, kind of a deep blue. And the 7 different chakra in Indian, in Sanskrit, chakra, they say have colors and musical notes attached, starting C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and colors. Also, they're connected to a certain intention and, again, biology. So there's layers of overlap, which is just beautiful to see in many different disciplines. So I tried to layer it a little bit so you can see that we're all connected. The chakra I mentioned. So what are we going to do today? The music that I have playing actually is I'm just going to turn it up so you can hear it here, is the 432 hertz. And this is actually the Cathar music. So the Cathars were let's see if I can get this playing here for you. Here we go. The Cathars were a medieval Christian sect in the 12th century in southern France. And I have the music, and I also have a little intention or prayer or poem that I'm going to read as part of our meditation earlier. But this frequency of 432 hertz affects all of these chakras. So we'll play that maybe a few times as we're going through our meditation. Our breath. So we're focusing tonight on anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress. So because our inhale stimulates and creates that fight or flight response, we're going to work on extending our exhale so we can lengthen the parasympathetic, which is our rest and relaxation. So we're going to be inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 5, and exhaling for 6. So if you're doing this at home yourself, you could match the beats to your heartbeat, because Leo, it represents heart as well. And it would be very powerful to kind of, use your heartbeat as the count. So 4 heartbeats are inhale, hold it for 5 heartbeats, and then exhale slowly for 6 heartbeats. If not, you can just count it out. If that length of time doesn't suit you, as long as your inhale is shorter than your exhale. So you inhale quickly, and you're going to hold and slowly exhale. Now, my first yoga teacher, actually, Sandra Ryan, used to talk about the 9/11 breath. So during 9/11, they had a bunch of trauma people that they were having to talk down from anxiety. So if you inhale for 9 and then exhale for 11, you're lengthening that parasympathetic. So it really affects your brain, it affects your body, and it produces a state of calm and relaxation. So that's what we're going to focus on in our meditation later. But because it's Leo, we have to do something fun, because Leo's very playful. So I thought I would teach you a tongue lock. I think that's what I need for myself, right? A tongue lock. But it's called the Jiva Bandha. So Jiva is tongue, and Bandha, don't call me Shakira, but Bandha is a lock. So what we're going to do is put our tongue at the hard palate, at the top part of our mouth, and we're going to be pushing up against it with our tongue. Now, there's a lot of acupressure points in the roof of your mouth. It's also a way to connect up to your 3rd chakra. Powerful, actually. So I'm just going to show it to you first, and then we can talk you through it. But if you were to make the sound like this, it's your tongue is sort of tapping on the roof of your mouth. Now pretend that you've got crazy glue on the roof of your mouth. So when you do this, you get stuck, right? So you're going to hold it like this. So your tongue is flat on the roof of your mouth. Let's try it. I wish I could see it right now. And then hold it. So that's the Jiva Bandha, or the tongue lock. And then as you're doing that tongue lock, what I'd like you to do for the next party trick is holding your fingers close together like this at the back of your neck, right underneath your occiput, and you're going to be leaning your head backwards. So that releases tension in your jaw, tension in your throat. You're pulling your tongue up against your hard palate. So it's a powerful way to relax. Okay? So we're going to bring it back here, bring our tongue up, and then we're going to tip backwards. We may even hum a little bit, because the vibration from the humming will help you see how that channel is all connected. Okay, you ready? And you can stay for a minute or half a minute. If it's painful, don't do it. If you have arthritis in your neck, you may need to see a chiropractor. Again, this extension of your neck is really great because most of the day we're spending with our head down, text neck. So this is a great way to loosen and sort of release tension into your neck and your jaw. Now we're going to look at some of the acupuncture points. So I mentioned this one right here, yin tang. The other acupressure point that's really powerful for helping you relax is right at your hair crease, right at your hairline right here. And the third one is just above your ears. If you take your hands and go just above your ears, there's a little depression right at the top of your head. So you'll feel around, again, your fingers are at your top of your ears and you just falling down at the top of your head, right at the cranial suture. There's a little depression, almost like a little divot, and it's going to be a little tender, and you just hold pressure there. And look, if you're not in the right place, it's not going to hurt. So just going to move your hands around on your skull and just hold it there for a moment. So the first one, again, for the acupuncturist, yin tang. The second one was do 24, and now I'm at do 20, which is one of the most powerful relaxation points. So when I worked in China, we would put a needle in here before we started any treatments because it would relax the patient. And then they wouldn't scream so much when we put the other needles in. No, just kind of kidding. But it really does help relax. So these are powerful points, and we're going to use them with our oils now in a second. Any questions so far? Thank you, John, Miran, Joanna. So the oils I'm going to use today, we mentioned about the essential oils. Powerful way to change your reality. There's only one synapse, as I keep mentioning, between the olfactory and neurons in your nose and into the emotional center in your brain. So I've chosen oils that not only open a kind of our spiritual center and our third eye, but that help reduce anxiety. And I'll post these links on this, the bottom of this video, so you can have a look at those oils. The most important thing is to really like the smell, because our olfactory center in our brain has a tremendous memory. So you might not like something and you may not remember why you don't like it, but it could be associated with a negative event. You could have got sick when you ate oranges and now you can't stand the smell of oranges, or you could have had a negative experience with a man or a woman wearing a certain scent that had these oils in them. So even though I'm recommending them, I always, when I'm working with patients with energy, I always give them a choice of which they like and make sure they're okay with it. So we're going to start our oil. So if you have some oil now, it'd be great. If you don't, you could use coconut oil. Any essential oil would do, but I'm using ylang-ylang, which is one for relaxation, frankincense, opening here and also healing, and myrrh. So we have the frankincense and myrrh. I'm sure there's a few sheep out there. All we need now is a few wise men and we'll be all set. So 1 drop in your left hand of each of the oils, or 3 drops if you have one oil that you're using. And we'll make up our potion for stimulating those acupressure points in your head. Now we're just going to rub it together, just mix them up a little bit. Tall finger in your other hand. We'll start with your third eye. And this again is our psychic center, yin tang acupuncture point. We're going to move to the one just at your hairline. Do 24. And then we're going to rub our hands together. Come right above your ears, and I want you to come down on that powerful point. Now, if you can rest your hands down on a table, you can allow the weight of your head to sort of fall into your hands. And then you can use the oil on your hands to do a gentle massage, almost like you're opening that third eye. So come around, bring it up, and open. So now let's try our breath with this at the same time. We're going to inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale through your mouth for 6. When you exhale through your mouth, it's cooling. So Leo is a fire sign. It's nice to cool it down with that breath. Now what you can do again is come up into your head, and I want you to try to kind of move your scalp. Move the skin around on your scalp. You can't do this wrong. So it's really just helping you relax. So you come home after a hard day. In fact, you'll do this intuitively, right? You'll see people with a headache doing this, or holding pressure on their head. That's great. You're stimulating these acupuncture points. So you can move down into your face. And this is where we hold a lot of tension in our jaw, because we grip and clench. So if you put your fingers here on either side of your jaw and just clench your teeth together, you'll see these little muscles out. Those are the masseter muscles, the chewing muscles that hold a lot of tension. So when I say relax your jaw, and we're going to be breathing later, that's where you want to feel it in through here. So you can put your hands there right now, and you can feel like that little ropey band or ropey mass, and you're just sort of massaging it, letting the tension come out of your jaw. Good. Okay, so we've relaxed our face, we've relaxed our head, we've stimulated our acupuncture points. We have our oils ready. Now we're going to get into our space. So you always need sort of a transition space. Call this, let's call it transition for now. A transition space into your meditation. So all this is preparing us. Now the next part is bringing gratitude, because gratitude and love and joy are some of the highest vibrations. And when we're in that vibration, it drowns out all the other stresses of the day. It drowns out all those negativity, the fear, the anxiety, and then you connect again to a higher purpose. So right now I want you to do that mudra that we learned in our meditation last day, called the Anjali mudra, where we're bringing together the dualities, left and right hand, left and right hemispheres of our brain, masculine and feminine, light and dark sides, into the unity or divinity. And they call this Anjali in Sanskrit, and that means divine offering, mudra, hand sign or seal. And we're just going to say namaste, from the light of my soul to the light of yours, for we are all one in spirit. And now we're going to bring that up to our third eye, and we're going to open it. We're framing our third eye with our hands. So I've really modified that Anjali mudra. And that thumb affects two acupuncture points, bladder 1 and bladder 2. Bladder 1, in Chinese medicine, they say it clears heat and relieves wind. So if someone comes in right now and sees you in this position, you can just let them know that you're clearing wind, and they'll probably leave the room pretty fast. But go into this position, kind of kidding, and just take a few deep breaths. And I want you to think about 3 things that you're grateful for. So they can be recent, past. Now I want you to think about 3 more things that you're grateful for. And then you can bring your hands to your heart. Keep thinking about that gratitude list until you feel your heart kind of swell into your throat, or you get a little tear. And that's a sign that your vibration has changed, that now you're into a space of grace. I know there's a lot of people that might be watching tonight that have had trauma in their life. And what I would suggest is you ask yourself that where has that trauma served you? How has that helped you to be the amazing, magnificent, spiritual, and physical being that you are right now? And before we get started, I'd like to read a passage kind of in that flavor and color to you just for a moment. So this book is it's called The Prophet, Gibran. I'm sure you're familiar with it. But again, in thinking about our traumas that we've had, I just want you to listen to these words. When a woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow," he answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked. And the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can that be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. It's not the cup that holds your wine, the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is it not the lute that soothes your spirit, the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again into your heart, and you'll see that, in truth, you are weeping for that which has been your delight. So that pain is really a perception that happens in your brain. If you can balance those both sides, pain and pleasure, light and dark, and see how that dark, that trauma has actually served you in your light, made you more resourceful, has increased your finances, brought you different opportunities, brought you closer to different people, really enhanced your own spiritual beliefs. It will help release the heaviness, the weight of those traumas. And again, as Gibran said, it's the pain that carves your cup. So I'm going to say a little prayer, and again, I just say, Dear God or Universe, but you could say whoever you feel is the creator, source of love and unconditional love and divine grace. So it could be Elvis or Paris Hilton or I don't know, whoever you want to say, dear whoever, but I'm going to say Dear Universe. And I had a comment that I'm not going to repeat it twice. I'll just say it once and then I'll give you time to process it. So thank you, Joanna, for that suggestion. So you can close your eyes or you can look at me as you wish. Dear God or Universe, thank you for bringing us together for this meditation. Thank you for the guidance, the love, and the wisdom you've written in our hearts and in the skies. In this Leo moon, we're learning to align our human will with your divine intention, trusting that through this path of serving others, we are served from the hands and heart of the universe. Namaste. From the light of my soul to the light of yours, for we're all one in spirit. I have one more poem that I want to read before we get started, and this is part of the Cathar Creed. Those who participate practice the truth of love in all their being. Those who are, know. It seeks not to teach, but to be, and by being, enriched. It recognizes the way we are may be the way of those around us because we are that way. It recognizes the whole planet as a being of which we are a part. It recognizes that the time has come for this supreme transmutation, the ultimate alchemy of conscious change of the ego into a voluntary return into the whole. It recognizes the supremacy of the great idea, which may be only accomplished if the human race practices the supremacy of love. So now what I would do is ask you to come into your comfortable position. Your palms are going to be face up on your knees. Remember we talked about before how your pelvis is tilted forward, so you're on your sits bones. And I just want, if you need to be in a chair, that's fine. I'm just going to set our timer. We're going to be meditating for another 6 minutes, breathing exercises. So you're on your sits bones, your palms are facing up. Tilted forward, your ears are over your shoulders, and we're going to breathe in for 4. Holding it for 5. And exhaling for 6. Inhaling. Hold the inhale. slowly exhale. Inhale. Hold. Slowly exhale. Now when you inhale, I want you to imagine, as we did in our last meditation, that light, there's a white light from the center of the galaxy coming into your crown, and at the same time, the light from your heart comes up to meet that light at your third eye and between your eyebrows. So when you inhale, you're joining those two lights from your heart and from the heart of the universe at your third eye. So you're inhaling, and then you're holding that alchemy, and then slowly exhaling. Keep the out breath until your body calls for air, and then inhale. Hold the inhale. Slowly exhale through your mouth. And again, hold that until your body calls for air. When you're breathing in, remember, you're pulling that light in from the crown of your head and from your heart to meet in the center of your head, right in that third eye between your eyebrows. And then you're breathing out. So that light is being shared. Inhale and exhale. So you can feel that lightness in between your eyebrows. You can feel on the exhale how the tension is leaving your face, how your shoulders are dripping down, your arms are becoming heavy, and your hands are falling into your lap. All you can feel is those two sit bones that bears a little weight, but almost as if you're lifting off your seat and bringing your intention up into that third eye. This time with the sun and the moon. Inhale. Hold. 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 Exhale. So you're bringing in light and love, wisdom from your heart. And you're sharing it with the world. Continue with that image, that vision, and that breath. Your breath almost acts as a vacuum for those two lights to come together. Or you can start wiggling your fingers and your toes. And you can open your eyes if you choose. When you're ready, you can bring your ears up to your shoulders slowly. And then relaxing them down. You can move your head to one side and to the other side. You can roll your shoulders. Backward and forward. Shrugging your shoulders, bringing them down. Shrugging your shoulders, bringing them down. Now we're starting to wake up. You know, you get into that meditative space, and it's really an escape from this world, isn't it? You know, when you're vibrating at that gratitude level, your fears and anxieties, you can't even attach to them anymore. So just know that you always have that available. You know, there's always 5 minutes where you can put on some music, or in a closet, in the bathroom. When my kids were small, I'd lock myself in the bathroom just to have 5 minutes to connect, you know, to ground your space. I'd like to read that Cathar Creed again. It's much longer, but it's just the parts that I thought applied to our celestial lesson of integrating into the whole, you know, that alchemy. But I'd like to read it again. I can find my glasses here. Those who participate practice the truth of love in all their being. Those who are, know. It seeks not to teach, but to be, and by being, enriched. It recognizes that the way we are may be the way of those around us because we are that way. It recognizes the whole planet as a being of which we are a part. It recognizes that the time has come for the supreme transmutation, the ultimate alchemy of conscious change of the ego and voluntary return to the whole. It recognizes the supremacy of the great idea, which may only be accomplished if the human race practices the supremacy of love. Namaste. So I'd ask you to take this meditation, this feeling of love and gratitude that you have with you into your evening. You know, as you go to sleep tonight, I always say a little prayer. It could be just thinking about these 3 gratitude things. It will help you sleep better, and you wake up kind of feeling refreshed and have guidance for the day. Again, for those who are dealing with traumas, to really ask yourself, how has that trauma, you know, carved your cup? How has it burnt the wood to make your flute? Because when you can see the service in that, when you can see the duality, both sides, you feel that the trauma then has just been part of your divine offering. The next meditation that we're going to do is going to be Monday, February 10th. And I'm going to try this later time slot again. So it'll be 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. That way other time zones can join in. And once again, thank you for your feedback. If there's anyone that is, I think I'd like to offer a chart reading, a complimentary chart reading for anyone who's been present for the live shows. So if you're interested in that, your natal chart, which looks like something like I showed you earlier with the moon chart, I'd offer that to you if, again, you've been present for the 3 live shows. Because I'm really grateful to have you here. Again, I feel honored to be in such a circle, and thank you. I do have a YouTube channel, and there's videos in the YouTube channel about sleep tips. So anyone who's anxious may have problems sleeping. So I'll post that link down. There also may be a lady watching whose name is Mary Ann. I just was friended with her recently, but she's actually doing a great initiative in reducing electromagnetic energies, because this is creating, the 5G technology, cellular technologies, is creating anxiety for all of us. So even if you haven't had, the other traumas that life brings, just living in this world creates stress and is hard on our nervous system. So reducing that frequency, turning off your router at night is one simple thing that you can do, just so you don't have those microwaves bombarding your cells, will help you get a more restful night's sleep. But the video suggests that, and then Marianne might post her link to the initiative she's taking to reduce the cellular radiation. So you can check out the YouTube channel. So once again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it, and invite you to reach for the stars, envision and achieve your personal best, and most of all, enjoy the journey. This is Dr. Dina Churchill signing out. Namaste.